Today, we're gonna be making pizza dough. Pizza day, pizza day, pizza day. Pizza dough is the canvas to your pizza art. And it requires a little bit of science. There are a ton of recipes online and an infinite number of combinations that you can use to create pizza dough. From all-purpose flour to type 1 flour to 00 flour to whole wheat flour, or a combination of all the above. But one thing holds true, and that's creating pizza dough as a science. You're creating a living thing, and there are a lot of variables. In its simplest form, pizza dough is simply 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and a leaven. Be it yeast or sourdough, you gotta get that rise on. Those 4 ingredients work in harmony to create the most popular dish in the world: pizza. Today I invite you to, number 1, subscribe. Look at my little logo down there. Click on that G. Today I'm gonna be making 24 dough balls for a little pop-up that I'm going to be doing in front of my house for my neighborhood. I love that I can practice the craft of making pizza, spread the love to my community, and of course, have my neighbors pay for it. Making pizza is a learning process, and the more I learn, the more I find that I have to learn. Today, I'm gonna be making pizza with this poolish that I created yesterday. For those of you who don't know, poolish is a pre-fermented dough. So what this is, it's the goodness that is going to be our leaven. This is going to be our yeast that we're gonna use today. And the benefit of creating a poolish like this is if I were to create this much, or even if I were to create more, you only used 2 grams of yeast every single time. What that results in is a very light crust that has a great crunch to it, that has a great flavor to it, and that's very easy to digest. You're not gonna be full for the remainder of the day. My pizza is a complete meal, and you're gonna feel good after. And this is the secret to make that happen. When I create this, I create it a day before. I mix the ingredients together, I let it sit room temperature for an hour, then it goes into the fridge for about 22 hours, then it comes back out for another hour right before I prep my dough. So now we are going to be prepping our final dough. So for that, we're gonna need the remaining water, the remaining flour, and salt, because you don't put any salt in here. Let's get to it. To help with the dough creation process today, I'm going to be using one of my favorite toys, and that is the Famag IM10S mixer. This thing is a beast, made in Italy, and I'm very happy with it. Hand kneading dough is totally easy to do. Everybody does it. I've done it a number of times, but if you're doing anything more than about 10 dough balls, it's nice to have a little bit of help. This is gonna be the machine that's able to knead the dough and make my job just a little bit easier today. I'm gonna take you through the entire process. Now, in order to get the best results possible, everything has to be weighed out. This is what we're gonna be creating today. You could download the Uni app for free, or you can also download the Pizza app, which pretty much is the same thing. I'm gonna be paying attention to a couple different things today. The amount of water and the amount of flour. Because I created a poolish, I'm not going to be paying attention to the amount of yeast. I'm also going to be looking at the amount of salt. That's gonna be important too. And remember, when I create poolish, I will always use 2 grams of yeast no matter what, every single time, for 24 pizzas or for 50 pizzas. I'm going to be putting about 75% of that water inside of the mixer. One reason that I recommend putting about 75% of the water in there and leaving a little bit out is using a spiral mixer like this, even a really high quality one, there is a chance that some of the flour will get stuck to the bottom. And while we fire this bad boy up, as we start to add our flour, we're gonna make sure that the flour isn't getting stuck, and we're gonna offer a little bit additional water so that it can help clean the edges and we get all the flour into that final mix. It is time to add our poolish. Look at that bubbly, fermented goodness. And we want to get it all in there. I created what's called a 20% poolish. I'm using 20% of the total water that's going to be going into the dough to match that with the flour to create my poolish. 20% is the minimum that you want to use if you're using this poolish route. But I found 20% poolish with about a 5-hour proof, once all said and done, yields me really good results and keeps me on schedule. You can also use 100% poolish, which 100% poolish would mean that you're taking 100% of the water, matching that with the flour, and creating your pre-ferment poolish. Boom, I am happy with that. Let's start the mixer. We're gonna go on low. We are going to just let it mix for a little bit, just a few minutes, so that it creates a kind of a milky texture and all of that poolish melts. Now would be a good time to add some salt. And we're just gonna pour it on in there. We're gonna let this mix for about 1 more minute. I'm gonna bump up the speed a little bit. And as you can tell, it's really getting a nice milky consistency. That's what we're going for. So we're gonna slowly start adding the flour. We're gonna add a little bit more of the water in there so that it hits on the sides. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it mix for just a moment, then I'm gonna stop it, and then I'm gonna scrape the sides. All right, now I'm gonna pop this guy open, just make sure that everything's getting incorporated on the bottom, which I could see it's not doing a bad job. But we don't want any dry flour. And patience is key with this. You don't have to hand knead, but these mixers, although they are very helpful, they aren't perfect. Let's go for another 2 minutes. We're gonna continue adding our flour, a little bit more of our remaining water, and finally, the last bit of flour. So at this point, our dough mix is almost complete. We just have a little bit more water to add. And we're gonna use that in just a moment to make sure that everything is taken off the side. You can see our dough mix is starting to come together, but still in about 2 minutes, on low, we're gonna just check the sides one more time to make sure that everything is being incorporated. Alrighty, so I am done with my mix. Now I cover the mixer right there. I'm gonna let everything sit for about 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna take it through a high-speed cycle for about 30 seconds. That's gonna separate everything, and then we're gonna pull it out. We're gonna cover it with a little bit more olive oil and some plastic wrap, and let that sit for about an hour in bulk. All right, so here we go. We've got our dough inside here. Before we take it out, we're going to bump up the speed on the mixer, and we're just gonna give it one more go around for about 30 seconds. It is looking really good. And we're done. All right, now we're gonna pull the dough. Just gonna put a little bit of olive oil in my hands just to make the process a little smoother, but it shouldn't be super sticky right now. We got the blob here. A little bit more olive oil. Let's give a little tippy tap, tippy tap, tippy. Just kind of checking it out, make sure that there's no dry flour. Looks good. Cool. So now let's cover it and we'll let it sit. Cool, so here we go. It is covered. That is gonna sit for an hour, and we'll check back on it, and then we're gonna ball it up. Now it's time to clean the mixer. You don't wanna let that go for too long.
Just whistle while you work.
There we go, the mixer's so clean. So next time, when I'm ready to use it, I won't have to spend an hour trying to get it ready. This is the Famag IM-10S. If you guys have any questions about this mixer, leave them down in the comments, and I'll try to get to them. All right guys, now it is officially time to make our dough balls. I'm going to be making 10-inch pizzas today. So I'm going to make 215 gram dough balls. They are going to be sitting for about 5 hours in the bins. These balls are done. All right, so here's our little community pop-up. We got the full easy up shebang going, all the little bistro lights, and our new pizza sign. And then inside, that's where the magic's going on. I'm gonna take you on a little tour. We got the rock box right there, our little pizza station. Let me show you. So here are those dough balls that we were working with. These are on 5.5 hours of fermentation. They are perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Here's a little tour of our little pizza station. Have the Uni pizza station right there. We've got our fresh milled San Marzano tomatoes right there. Our shredded mozzarella, fresh mozzarella. Not the best basil, but basil nonetheless. Some pepperoni, and of course going to be doing some fresh grated Parmesan. Then we also have some Nutella, because we do a Nutella pizza. Can't go wrong with the Rock Box. Rock Box is just pumping away right there. It's at temperature. And on top of the Nutella pizza, we have Oreos and marshmallows. Makes a nice little s'more pizza. We call it the S'moreo. So this is our little setup that we got working with. The wife's taking secret photos of me right there. But this is just going to be for our little community tonight. So that's the view. Got some music going. It's on low right now because we don't want to get busted for royalties. And that's it. So our dough is ready to rock, and we're going to make some pizzas for the kids right now. Thanks for watching, guys.